Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times this Wednesday, February 24, 2021. For today's editorial, Facebook Australia squabble has implications for media access. Last week, social media giant Facebook struck back against a new Australian law that would require it and other internet platforms such as Google to pay for Australian media content published and shared on their sites. In a move apparently intended to bully the Australian government into backing down, Facebook abruptly blocked all Australian news content. In the process, also cutting off some non-media government, institutional, and commercial information pages. As a media organization, we must acknowledge that there is a beneficial rationale from Australia's position, and that Facebook's contention that it should not have to pay for media content amounts to claiming the right to practice piracy. Producers of media content must be paid fairly for the publication or republication of their product. Sharing an article on Facebook is not fundamentally different from one newspaper's reprinting another newspaper's copyrighted story. It cannot be done without the copyright holder's permission, and as this is a commercial business, that permission usually has a price tag attached. Thus, Australia's law is entirely correct in its basic premise. However, as things have developed, it is clear it has unintended consequences that will actually give the internet giants even more power to control users' media access and deal a fatal blow to countless smaller media outlets by preventing them from reaching their audiences. The flaw in the new Australian regulation revealed itself in Google's response to the law. Initially, Google had taken the same position as Facebook and threatened to cut off content from Australia, even going so far as to suggest it would block its search engine from use in Australia. However, it seems that more practical minds in the company prevailed, and Google has entered into licensing agreement negotiations with the largest Australian media companies, including Rupert Murdoch's News Corporation, Seven West Media, Nine Entertainment, and the government-owned Australian Broadcasting Corporation. That means that at the moment, any Australian media outlet that is not a part of one of those four networks is legally prevented from having its content disseminated through Google's vast internet ecosystem as well as Facebook's, unless the internet giants choose to enter into a payment arrangement. To make sure those arrangements are fair, the Australian law provides for a government arbitration panel to oversee agreements and resolve disputes. But this rather misses the point. The internet platform could simply choose not to entertain negotiations in the first place, effectively shutting out the media producer. The internet giants have been hounded by controversy for years for having too much control over what their users can see, and without intending to, Australia seems to have just handed them legal justification to exercise even more control. In fact, by deciding to address the issue of content sharing in the first place, Australia has opened a Pandora's box of terrible precedents, one resulting from the law itself, and an even worse one resulting from the only logical workaround to make the law fair to media producers and consumers. In order to prevent internet platforms from freezing out certain media outlets, the only amendment that could be applied would be to require the platforms to pay for media content from anyone who requests access to the platform. This raises the nightmarish prospect of social media and search engine feeds being flooded by even more false or special interest generated content than it already is. The platform's application of controls to screen out fake or harmful content are imperfect, but at least there is some control. Under the above scenario, they would be largely unable to do that at all. So far, all of this only affects Australia and media content generated there, but it should be a matter of global concern. After all, it's a World Wide Web, and Australia is by no means isolated from it. The current environment may be inequitable and less than ideal, but until much more careful study and debate about how to fix it takes place, we should all be wary of any attempts to apply Australia's ham-handed solution anywhere else. And that's the editorial for Wednesday, February 24, 2021. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And listen to The Voice of the Times.